Most fan selection mistakes are not a wrong size. They are a wrong family.
Somebody needed pressure and bought a fan that only moves volume, or needed volume and bought a fan that wastes energy making pressure nobody asked for. Axial or centrifugal is the first fork in the road, and it is worth getting right before anything else. Start with what each one physically does to the air. An axial fan takes air in along the shaft and pushes it out along the same line, like a propeller. A centrifugal fan takes air in along the shaft and throws it out sideways, at 90 degrees to where it came in.
That is the whole geometric difference, and every practical consequence comes from it. The consequence that matters is how each builds pressure. An axial blade works like a wing, it deflects the air and generates lift, and the pressure rise you get depends on how well that wing is working. A centrifugal will get pressure two ways at once, from the wing effect of the blade and from the centrifugal action of spinning the air outward, and that second mechanism does not care nearly as much about how cleanly the flow is behaving. That is why the two curves have different shapes, and shape is what you actually live with. A centrifugal fan gives you a curve that falls away steadily as flow increases, which is well behaved and easy to select against. An axial fan gives you a curve with a dip in it, a region where the blades are stalling, and inside the dip the fan can be unstable, noisy, and unpredictable. Here is a real axial unit. Blades set at an angle around a hub, the motor sitting in the airstream behind them, and a short cylindrical housing. Notice how little there is, no scroll, no 90-degree turn, no volute to build. That simplicity is exactly why an axial fan is cheaper for the same airflow and why it fits into a wall or a duct without a transition. And here is a centrifugal unit for comparison. The air has to turn, the blade passage is longer, and there is either a scroll to convert velocity or a plenum to discharge into. More machine, more cost, and more pressure capability for the same diameter. So the practical rule is this. If your job is to move a lot of air against very little resistance, an axial fan will do it more cheaply and in less space. Condenser coils, wall ventilation, tunnel and car park fans, cooling towers. The moment real resistance appears, ducting, filters, coils in series, an axial fan runs out of pressure long before a centrifugal one does. There is a trap in the middle of that rule. Axial fans are usually cheaper for the same airflow at low pressure, so people specify them, and then the system turns out to be more restrictive than the drawing suggested. Now the fan is operating in or near its stall dip, and the symptoms look like a broken fan: noise, vibration, airflow that does not match the catalog, and readings that will not settle. Noise behaves differently too, and it is worth knowing which way. Axial fans tend to produce more noise at low frequency and are more sensitive to what is immediately in front of and behind them, because the blades are working directly in that flow. Centrifugal fans, particularly backward curved ones at sensible tip speeds, tend to be quieter for the same duty once real system resistance is present. Direction and layout matter as well. An axial fan is easy to reverse and easy to install inline, which is why extraction and supply systems like them. A centrifugal fan turns the flow 90 degrees whether you want it to or not, which is either exactly what your layout needed or an annoying constraint, and it is worth checking that on the drawing before selection rather than after. Here is a diagnostic you can use today. If a fan is loud, moves less air than the catalog promised, and the noise changes character when you crack open a damper, you are probably looking at an axial fan operating too far up its curve into stall. Adding speed will not fix that. Reducing system resistance or changing family will. So bring two numbers and one judgment to the decision. The airflow you need, the total pressure your system actually imposes including filters and coils at their dirty condition, and an honest view of whether that resistance could grow later. With those, the axial or centrifugal question answers itself, and the size question becomes straightforward.